Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about The Influence by Ramsey Cambell. This is from Tor Horror. Look at this lovely, lovely die cut cover. Love that stuff. This is from 1988, is what I'm seeing. And, in this book, Great Aunt Queenie is dead. But Great Aunt Queenie doesn't like being dead. And that spells trouble for, I believe she's 9-year-old Rowan. And that's the nutshell. That's all I've got to say about that. For the too long didn't watch folks, I gave this 5 out of 5. I absolutely loved it. Now, a little bit about Ramsey Cambell and me, our history together. I believe it was Ramsey Campbell's first novel, The Doll Who Ate Its Mother. I think that's what it's called. Let's just look in here and see. The Doll Who Ate His Mother, I read that, and I really enjoyed most of it. This is what I recall from decades and decades ago. Really enjoyed most of it. Very disappointed in the ending. And I'm not sure that I read any other Ramsey Cambell novels after that. It's possible I tried another one. But it has been decades since I've read Ramsey Cambell. But a lot of my online author friends love Ramsey Cambell. And I figured it was time to give the man another chance. He's had a lot of new stuff coming out from Flame Tree Press. I picked up one of those. And I can't remember if I got a couple of the older ones. I got this, obviously. But anyway, that's all neither here nor there. Decided to give him another chance, and I'm glad I did. Not gonna assume that all of the stuff I'm gonna read is gonna be a 5 out of 5 read like this was, but definitely gonna have to put him into regular rotation. Anyway, so in The Influence, as I said, we have Great Aunt Queenie. She's up in the bedroom, top floor of her house, and two of her nieces, well, her one niece is living there, her single niece, Hermione, her other niece, Allison's husband, Derek, Allison and Derek's child, Rowan, are all living in the house, sort of taking care of Queenie. Queenie dies. And then Hermione has always had an odd relationship with Queenie, and she kind of flips out about something at the funeral that I'm not going to mention. But there's some of the characters start to think maybe there might be some danger for Rowan, for little 9-year-old Rowan. And, if you read the back of the book, you have a feeling of what's going to be going on. And so I really, really enjoyed this. As I said, 5 out of 5 stars. Ramsey Cambell, even back with The Doll Who Ate His Mother, despite me not enjoying the ending, writes very chilling scenes. He builds up his characters. All of the characters in here are 3-dimensional, and we get to know them, and it's not over expository. Is that the proper word? It's not info dump. Getting to know these characters, it's a bit gradual, which I prefer to the info dump kind of thing. Stephen King can pull it off, I think, generally. Sometimes it's annoying, but he does like to give you, introduce a character, give you their life story, and then move on from that point. It can be okay if done well, but I prefer learning about the people as the story progresses, and that's what Ramsey Cambell has done here. And he builds a chilling atmosphere with his writing, very descriptive of the locations. This is in some of it takes place in Wales, and there's Liverpool, and I'm not sure about the exact geography. I thought about looking at a map, but I chose not to because it wasn't that important. But and he describes these places, the places that the characters are going to, the things that are happening, describes them very well without going overboard. And as I said, he's able to build tense, frightening atmosphere and have these horrifying scenes. This isn't a graphic book by any means. This is about that cold dread that you feel. And despite having an idea of what things are and where things might be going, it still sends a chill down your spine. Puts a tight grip around your heart. Just fantastic writing. And despite apparently Ramsey Campbell, big on cosmic horror, Mary Sangiovanni, huge fan, I believe, huge fan of Ramsey Campbell, if I'm remembering the things I've heard and been told correctly and read. And, Mary Sangiovanni, big on the cosmic horror. I believe Ramsey Campbell is supposed to be big on the cosmic horror. This, unless I'm completely mistaken and missed something, not cosmic horror. Just straight up, good old fashioned, terrifying, supernatural family stuff. So, yeah, I'm just, as always, trying to avoid giving anything away at all. So all I can really say is it's just the writing is amazing. The characters are fully fleshed. The chills are well paced. And the tension builds. The relationships are real and relatable. It's 5 out of 5. I find no fault with this story. I find fault with myself for waiting so long to jump back in to reading Ramsey Campbell. But The Influence by Ramsey Campbell, 5 out of 5 stars. Just a fantastic horror story. Straight up horror story. Regular viewers know my preferred subgenre of horror, killer animals. I like that kind of stuff. I like extreme horror. I like splatterpunk. I like all sorts of horror. I don't think there's any type of horror that I just actively dislike. This is just, it doesn't fit into any of those. It's not splatterpunk. It's not extreme. It's not killer animals. It's just good old fashioned horror. I don't know how else to put it. And I highly, highly recommend it. So there you go. The Influence, Ramsey Campbell, 5 out of 5 stars. I do have a question for this video. Again, it's something that I may have asked before. Are there any authors that you read, was not impressed with, and so didn't come back to for a long time, and decided eventually to give them another try and discovered that you really enjoyed their stuff the second time around? For me, I've discussed this many times. For those of you who've watched all my videos, Dean Koontz is one, although he's on the outs. But first Dean Koontz book I read, didn't like it. It was years before I read another one. Really enjoyed the second one that I read. Went back and was reading all his older stuff, enjoying it all. Read that first book again, still didn't like it. And then I got to a point where I was just bored with his stuff. It seemed like he was writing the same story over and over, and just, I've got too much to read. I don't need to read any more Dean Koontz. Christopher Moore, first book I read by him. Didn't hate it, didn't love it. years before I came back and read anymore. Loved what I read. And this time when I went back and reread the first book, I actually enjoyed it the second time I read it. Same thing with, there's another one, and I can't remember who it is, but we have Ramsey Cambell. Tried him decades ago, wasn't impressed. Absolutely loved this, obviously. Definitely going to be reading more. Um, so that's why I like to give authors a second chance, because you never know. In the case of Dean Koontz, that first book, didn't like it either time I read it, but I did enjoy his other older stuff. So I'm not going to say it was necessarily mood when I read that first book, which was Shattered, by the way. But sometimes it is mood or mindset or whatever you want to call it. Practical Demon Keeping was the first Christopher Moore book I read. Didn't enjoy it the first time. Really enjoyed it the second time. Of course, the most classic case for me is Pet Sematary. First read it, thought it was the second most boring book I'd ever read in my life. Was saying that for decades. Reread it not long ago, and now it's like one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Stephen King book. Absolutely loved it. Has this happened to you? What authors put you off initially, but then you came around and now you're a fan? Or has this never happened to you? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. On Blue Sky, I'm @EL Smith. That's all I've got for you. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.